All right, so do you guys have 3 properties for a rectangle? So I'm actually going to put that under parallelogram. Yes.
Will this be on YouTube later?
Mm-hmm.
So this whole thing will be on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I got mine at home. I was gonna take pictures, but I don't have any space.
You asking me about it, it will also be on YouTube. This conversation recapping the conversation. I know. Okay. What else? Yes.
For rectangles, all the angles are.
Yes, all angles are congruent. They are actually all 90 degrees. Yes?
Rectangle consecutive angles are supplementary.
That works for either one. So a rectangle is actually more specific than a parallelogram. So if it works for both, I'm just going to put it under parallelogram. Okay, so the consecutive angles are supplementary, or I'm going to say add to 180. Okay, any other properties? Yes?
Opposite sides are congruent.
Yes, opposite sides are parallel, consecutive angles, add to 180. I'm going to say opposite sides. I'm going to say and angles are congruent. All right. Do we know anything else about rectangles? Yes.
Diagonals bisect each other.
Yes, the diagonals bisect. That's actually true for both, but I'll put it up here. They're actually congruent too. So the diagonals are congruent and bisect. All right, so yes, alternate interior angles congruent works here.
Okay. Thanks for the offer, though.
Okay, so these are not the only 3 properties of a rectangle or the only 3 properties of a parallelogram, but these at least get you going. I would be prepared to maybe list some properties of other quadrilaterals as well. So maybe over here put some of a rhombus and some of a square, just because you don't know what I'm going to ask for tomorrow. Okay? And you can use this whole review packet tomorrow. So I would put as much information in the sides and the margins on extra paper. You cannot use your notes packet. You cannot use anything else. You cannot use your phones. You cannot trade reviews back and forth with your neighbor. It's your review in your handwriting, a paper copper only, not electronic. That's it. Okay? All right, I am going to continue on. So, is number 3 a polygon? Yes. Yeah, if it said to name it by the number of sides, you could say octagon. It doesn't really say that, but that's okay. That's how it looked on the quiz. Number 4. No. Why is this a no?
Not all second sides.
Yeah, not all sides
Oh, no, I thought it would.
are segments.
Oh, okay.
It's been a lot.
Oh, you bad.
Don't worry about it.
No, you're not. I'm bad.
What do you guys think on number 3?
No.
No, why not?
Intersects at an endpoint.
The sides do not intersect at the endpoints. Sorry, kind of ran out of space there. But it says no because the sides do not intersect at the endpoints. All right, the next section, these are all quadrilateral, so they have 4 sides. And the interior angles of a quadrilateral add to what? So I'm going to put add to 360 over here so that tomorrow I know what to do. I'm going to start at 360. Then I'm going to do what? Minus 130, minus 54, minus 31. What'd you guys get? 145. Box it in. Number 7. 360 minus 153 minus 30 minus 88. And what do you get? 89. Box it in. Number 8. 360 minus 146 minus 88 minus 69. And what do you get? Questions? Backside, number 9. What am I going to do? Okay, what do you get? I'm just taking your word for it. All right, number... What is it? 360 minus 90 minus 91 minus 83.
76.
Okay. And number 12, what this means right here is that there are 2 angles that are missing and they're congruent to one another. So you can write an equation calling them each x. X plus this equals 360. Honestly, I'd probably just do it more in my head, like 360 minus 120 minus 111. What does that give me? 129. And then divide that by 2.
64.5.
So each of them would be 64.5 degrees. Did you do it a similar way? In the next section, we have all parallelograms. I'm going to find the missing angle measures. So what do I know about opposite angles?
Congruent.
They're congruent. So what's the measure of angle Y in number 12? 53. Good. And what about X? How will I find X?
Minus 180.
Yes, because consecutive angles are supplementary. So what do you get for X?
127.
127. Good. All right, same idea on 13. So what is Y?
137.
And what is X?
43.
43. Okay, 14. What is X?
156.
And what is Y?
24.
24. Good. And the last one in this section?
90.
They're all going to be 90. Yeah, because angles right next to each other. These two would have to add to 180. So 180 minus 90 is 90, and then these two are congruent. All right, in parallelograms, we also know that opposite sides are congruent. So in number 16, what is X? What is Y? Number 17, what is X? What is Y? All right, number 18, what is X?
21.
What is Y? Good. All right, number 19. 5 and 5. Yes. They're both opposite of 5. 5 and 5. Great. Tell whether each quadrilateral is a parallelogram and explain. Number 20. Is that a parallelogram?
No.
No, why not?
No. Congruent sides.
Yes, the opposite sides are not congruent.
What do I?
What about number 21?
Hold on. We'll be alright. I just did that.
We don't know anything about them being parallel. Parallel is if they have the arrows. So we can't say opposite sides parallel. We could say what? Opposite sides congruent. Okay? Number 22. Is this a parallelogram? No, why not? Opposite angles, not congruent. Good. And number 23. Remember, you can't go by the looks of it. So I've heard some yeses, I've heard some no's. Can anyone defend one of the reasons?
Consecutive angles are congruent, opposite sides.
Consecutive angles are
Opposite angles. Wait, right?
consecutive. You're on the right track. Consecutive angles are opposite angles are congruent, and consecutive angles are supplementary. So if you're going to say that opposite angles are congruent, you need to show me that this guy equals 81. How could you do that? You could do 360 minus 99 minus 99 minus 81. Or you could say, which is the way I would probably do it, is consecutive angles are supplementary.
Will we get points taken off if we do either or can we do both? We're gonna have it all together. Like the consecutive angles or the opposite angles are congruent.
If you put consecutive angles supplementary, you don't need to show me any additional work because I can very quickly add these in my head and see they add to 180. Okay? But if you're going to say opposite angles are congruent, you need to show me that this angle really is 81 degrees. And the way you would do that is to show me that, okay? So you actually have to show me what you're saying or make it very clear from the picture what you're saying. What do I know about the sides of a rectangle? They don't all equal each other. The opposite sides equal each other. So what's the measure of AB? 11. Good. And all the angles are 90. All right, number 25. All the angles of a square are 90. And all the sides are congruent. And number 26. All the sides of a rhombus are congruent. So this guy is 12. This guy is 12. This guy is 12. And then they ask you for the one they already had, which is 12. Okay, diagonals of a rectangle. They're congruent and they also bisect each other. So what do I know about these 4 segments? They're all going to be congruent to each other. So I can set 2x equal to x plus 12. And x equals what? 12. Number 28. All the angles of a square are, so 3x equals 90 and x equals 30. All the sides of a rhombus are equal. Now yesterday I think we decided that was a plus. If you put it as a minus, it's fine, as long as you made them equal to each other. I think the answer is, yeah, I think it's negative if you make it a plus, but it doesn't matter. So negative 1 equals 2x, and then you subtract, and you get negative 9. Now, actually, upon further review, later when I was doing it, I decided that it probably was supposed to be a minus sign. If you do it as a subtraction sign, what do you get? I think you might just get 8. Because you'd get 16 equals 2x. Yeah, so you get 8. So if you got 8 because you changed this sign, that's fine. That's more of like a typo error. The important part is to know that they're equal to one another. And if there's anything that's hard to read tomorrow, we'll solve it as a group. I'll try to work through the test while you're working through it, or maybe tonight if I get really ambitious. Are we good on that section?
Yep.
So, when you see these guys, we have an isosceles trapezoid. Isosceles trapezoid has base angles that are congruent. So, x is 72. And then these guys along the same leg
Are supplementary.
add to 180, right? Whoops. Not 118, 180. So you can do 180 minus 72 and you get
108.
108. I don't know. All right, same idea on 31. This is an isosceles trapezoid. So how am I going to find x?
180 minus 118.
180 minus 118, and what do you get? 62. And y is
62.
also 62. Those are base angles. Good. Now, 32 is not an isosceles trapezoid. So don't get all excited. The only thing we know about this one is that it's a trapezoid, just a regular old trapezoid. So you have to go along the same leg, okay? So to find x, we'll do 180 minus 121. What do you get?
98.
That's if it's an isosceles trapezoid.
I believe.
What do you get? 180 minus 121.
559.
121. What's on the board? Okay. Remember to stay along the same leg. So to find y, you go along this leg. 180 minus. Don't flip flop them. So what do you get for y? 180 minus 98.
72? Wait, 82.
Yeah, 82.
Good. All right, 33, we're back to an isosceles trapezoid because of these guys. So x is
77.
77, and y is
103.
180 minus 77, which is 103. Technically, you don't need these degree symbols since it says y degrees, x degrees. I'm being a little extra with the degrees. Sorry about that. Okay. Regular old trapezoid. So what angle am I going to subtract to find the x?
62.
The 62. So
118.
remember, just go along the leg. So this is what?
118.
118. I did it again after I said I wasn't going to. All right, and to find the y, you go along this leg. 109. Good. All right, how do you find the mid segment?
You add the two segments that you have and then you divide by 2.
Add them together, divide by 2.
7.
X equals 7. Good. Once again, add the two segments, divide by 2.
624. Or 12.
All right. 37. Add the two segments, divide by 2.
9 divided by 2 would be 14.5.
Now, these next two are a little trickier. I will show you the equation for both but I'm not going to actually solve that equation. So here it's the same thing. The bases added together, so x plus 27 divided by 2 equals 15. Or over here, you do x plus 2 divided by 2 equals 9. I remember I told you kind of like a shortcut way. It's to figure out how would you go from here to here.
Minus 12.
Minus 12.
You would subtract 12, right? So subtract 12 again, and what would x equal? 3. Now, if you solve that equation, you still get 3. So I don't care how you do it. There are both methods. Figure it out. All right? Number 39, how would you turn a 2 into a 9?
You add 7.
You'd add 7. So add 7 again,
16.
and you get 16. Great. If you are solving those equations, it's easiest to multiply by the 2 first. You know what I mean? And then subtract. So those are options as well. Number 40 says, explain why a rectangle is a parallelogram, but a parallelogram is not a rectangle. You guys gonna research that one on your own tonight?
Yeah. I just feel that.
Yes.
All the features of parallelogram also apply to rectangles except for like the rectangle exclusive things that make it a
Okay, so all the properties of a parallelogram also work for a rectangle? But not all the properties of a rectangle apply to a parallelogram. Is everyone feeling okay with that answer?
Yeah.
So a rectangle is a type of a parallelogram. So all the properties of a parallelogram still work for a rectangle, but not all the properties of a rectangle work for a parallelogram. All right, and then 41, we are going to put an X in the boxes that work. So we'll just go property one at a time. Opposite angles are congruent. Is that true for a parallelogram?
Yes.
Yes. Is it true for a rectangle? Yes. Is it true for a rhombus? Yes. Is it true for a square?
Yes.
Is it true for a trapezoid?
No.
No.
Not for trapezoid.
All sides are congruent. Does that work for a parallelogram? Nope. Does it work for a rectangle? Does it work for a rhombus?
Yes.
Does it work for a square?
Yes.
Okay. I would be, and it doesn't work for trapezoid, obviously. I would be prepared to do this box for any of the properties.
Okay.
So once again, you might want to fill up this backside with notes. I'm okay with that. Use it like a note card, okay? But once again, you have this review, a calculator, a pencil, and that's it. I will be very strict with the no passing back and forth rule, with the no cell phone rule, no phones in your lap rule, no headphones in, all of that, because I know there's a lot to handle in this chapter, but you got to get it on this review if you want to have access to it tomorrow. Do you have any questions?